The basement door slammed shut behind her with a sound like a coffin lid closing. Sophia Martinez stood in the darkness, her heart pounding as she heard the electronic lock engage. 5 boys laughing on the other side. And that's when she realized this wasn't a Halloween prank. This was something much, much worse. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Let me tell you about the girl who brought down an empire with nothing but her brain and a USB drive. October in Connecticut has this way of fooling you. The leaves are gorgeous, all fire reds and burnt oranges, making everything look like a postcard. But underneath that beauty, there's always something dying. And at Westbrook Preparatory Academy, behind those ivy-covered walls and perfect lawns, something had been rotting for 20 years. If you're feeling that rush of what's going to happen next, hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these stories. And if you want to share where you're watching from, drop it in the comments below. For those who want to support more stories like this one, there's a thanks button right under this video. Every contribution, no matter how small, helps me bring you more inspiring tales of courage and standing up for what's right. Thank you for being here. Now, let's see what happens when push comes to shove. Sophia Martinez didn't know any of this when she first walked through those gates, 17 years old, with a mind like a steel trap and a scholarship that barely covered her books. She was just happy to be there. Her mother, Rosa, had worked double shifts at Fairfield General just to afford the gas money for the daily commute from their apartment in Bridgeport. "Mija," her mother would say, kissing her forehead every morning at 5:30 a.m. "You show them what a Martinez can do." And boy, did she. First day of senior year. Sophia walked into advanced robotics wearing jeans from Target, while everyone else sported designer labels. She didn't care. She wasn't there to make friends. She was there to build her future, one circuit board at a time. That's when she first saw Tyler Blackwood. You know how some people just own a room? Tyler was like that. 6'2", shoulders built from years of lacrosse, that kind of jaw that gets featured in yearbook superlatives. Son of Mayor Daniel Blackwood, headed to Yale just like his father and grandfather before him. He moved through Westbrook Prep like he was walking on water, and everyone else was drowning just to hold him up. Their first interaction was in the hallway outside the science labs. Tyler, surrounded by his usual crew, Mason Chen, Derek Sullivan, and a couple other lacrosse players, spotted Sophia adjusting her robotics project, a small drone she'd built from scratch. "Hey," Tyler called out, that million-dollar smile spreading across his face. "You're the new girl, right? The scholarship kid." The way he said scholarship kid made it sound like a disease. Sophia looked up, met his eyes without flinching. "I'm Sophia. And you are—" The hallway went quiet. Nobody asked Tyler Blackwood who he was. Everyone knew. His smile flickered, just for a second. "Tyler Blackwood. I run things around here." "Good for you," Sophia said, turning back to her drone. "I run things in my world, too." Looking back, that was probably her first mistake. You don't dismiss a king in his own castle, not without consequences. But Sophia had bigger things to worry about than some prep school prince with an ego problem. The state robotics championship was coming up, and she'd entered with a drone that could detect gas leaks in buildings inspired by her father, who'd died in a construction accident when she was 7, a gas leak that nobody caught in time. She threw herself into the work. Early mornings in the lab, late nights debugging code. Her physics teacher, Mr. Peterson, said she had the best shot at winning Westbrook had seen in years. That caught people's attention. The wrong kind of attention. See, Tyler Blackwood had been Westbrook's golden boy for 4 years running. Valedictorian track. Yale legacy admit waiting for him. The whole package. But his grades, let's just say they sparkled more than they should have. And when Sophia's name started climbing the class rankings when she won that robotics championship by a landslide, suddenly, Tyler's guaranteed valedictorian spot didn't look so guaranteed anymore. That's when the charm offensive began. It was a Tuesday, about 3 weeks after that first hallway encounter. Sophia was eating lunch alone in the courtyard, reading through some code on her laptop, when a shadow fell across her screen. "Mind if I sit?" Tyler asked, already sliding onto the bench beside her. He smelled like expensive cologne and entitlement. "Free country," Sophia muttered, not looking up. "Listen," he said, leaning in close enough that she could see the little scar above his left eyebrow. "I think we got off on the wrong foot. Westbrook can be intense for new people, but with the right friends, it can be amazing." "I'm good, thanks." "Come on." His voice dropped lower, smoother. "I'm having a party this weekend. Small thing, just the important people. You should come. I'd like to get to know you better." For the first time, Sophia looked directly at him, really looked. Saw the calculation behind those green eyes, the way his smile didn't quite reach them. "I said I'm good." Tyler's jaw tightened. "You know, people would kill for an invitation from me." "Then invite them." She closed her laptop and stood up. "I've got work to do." As she walked away, she heard Derek Sullivan mutter, "Bitch doesn't know who she's messing with." She should have paid more attention to that warning. The harassment started small. Her locker accidentally jammed 3 days in a row. Her robotics supplies went missing, then reappeared in the boys' bathroom. Someone created an Instagram account called Scholarship Sophia and posted photos of her mother in her nurse's scrubs with captions like, "Cleaning up after the real Americans." Sophia reported it to the administration. Vice Principal Harrison, a man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, barely glanced up from his computer. "Kids will be kids," he said. "Best not to make waves. The Blackwood family has been very generous to this school." "So that means their son gets to harass me?" Harrison's face went pale. "I didn't say harassment. I said pranks. Senior year pranks. It's tradition." Tradition. That word would come to haunt Westbrook Prep. The next escalation came during Spirit Week. Sophia had actually tried to participate, wearing a dress for Decades Day, a vintage piece her mother had worn to her own prom. It was the only nice dress Sophia owned. She was walking to chemistry when it happened. Tyler and his crew cornered her in the empty hallway by the music rooms. Derek Sullivan had something in his hand, a box cutter. "Nice dress," Tyler said, that dangerous smile playing on his lips. "Looks a little long, though. Let me help you with that." Before Sophia could react, Derek grabbed the hem of her dress. The sound of fabric tearing filled the hallway. They didn't just cut it, they shredded it, leaving her standing there in tatters while they laughed. "Much better," Tyler said. "Now you look like you belong here." Something inside Sophia snapped, but not in the way they expected. She didn't cry, didn't run. She just stood there, memorizing their faces, the sound of their laughter, the exact shade of cruelty in their eyes. "You done?" she asked, voice steady as steel. Tyler's laughter faltered. "What?" I said. "Are you done? Because I have class, and unlike you, I actually need to earn my grades." She walked away, holding the ruins of her dress together, leaving them standing there in confused silence. That night, her mother found her crying in her room, the only tears she'd allow herself. "What happened, Mija?" Sophia couldn't tell her, couldn't add another burden to a woman already carrying the world. "Just a bad day, Mom." Rosa Martinez held her daughter tight. "You know what your father used to say, they can take everything from you except what's in here." She tapped Sophia's temple. "And what's in here?" She placed her hand over Sophia's heart. "I miss him, Mom. Me too. Baby, me too." What Sophia didn't know was that someone had filmed the dress incident. Ashley Williams, student council president and queen of keeping up appearances, had been hiding in the music room. She'd captured everything on her phone, but instead of posting it or reporting it, she kept it, filed it away. Because Ashley had her own secrets about the Blackwood family. Dark ones. The weeks that followed were a special kind of hell. Tyler's campaign intensified. Sophia's robotics project, the one she'd been perfecting for months, was destroyed. Someone poured acid on the circuits. Her college recommendation letters mysteriously disappeared from teachers' desks. Her mother's car tires were slashed in the hospital parking lot. Each time. No evidence. Each time. Tyler's alibi was airtight. His father's influence stretched through the town like roots from a poisonous tree. Mason Chen was the only one who seemed uncomfortable with it all. Tyler's best friend since middle school. He'd started hanging back during the worst of it. Sometimes Sophia caught him looking at her with something almost like guilt. "Why don't you stop him?" she asked him once, catching him alone by the vending machines. Mason looked around nervously. "You don't understand how things work here." "Then explain it to me." He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, the Blackwoods own this town, the police chief, the school board, half the judges. Cross them and… He shook his head. "Just keep your head down. Graduate. Get out. That's your advice. Give up. That's survival." But Sophia Martinez wasn't built for survival. She was built for victory. Halloween was coming. The leaves had turned from beautiful to brittle, crunching underfoot like tiny bones. The whole school buzzed with talk of Tyler's legendary Halloween party, always held at the old equipment warehouse behind the football field. Technically, off limits. But when had rules ever applied to Tyler Blackwood? Sophia had no intention of going. She was in the robotics lab, trying to salvage something from her destroyed project. When Mason appeared in the doorway, "You need to come to the party," he said without preamble. She didn't even look up. Pass. "I'm serious. Tyler? He wants to apologize." Now she looked up. "You're joking." Mason shifted uncomfortably. "His dad's been on his case. Something about college admissions, looking at character now. He needs to make things right with you. And you believe that Mason rubbed his face. "I don't know. Maybe. He seemed different today. Said he went too far." If this story is hitting close to home, if you've ever been in Sophia's shoes, let me know in the comments. Sometimes sharing these experiences helps us heal. Sophia studied Mason's face. He looked genuinely conflicted, maybe even hopeful. She thought about her mother, working another double shift, about her father, who'd taught her to see the good in people. "Fine," she heard herself say. "But I'm only staying 5 minutes." Mason's relief was palpable. "Great. I'll make sure he behaves." Halloween night came crisp and cold. Sophia wore jeans and her father's old construction company jacket, her armor against the world. The warehouse loomed in the darkness, orange light spilling from the windows, music thumping like a diseased heartbeat. Inside was chaos. Strobe lights, fake cobwebs, and half of Westbrook's senior class in various states of intoxication. Tyler stood in the center of it all, dressed as a king because, of course, he was holding court with his usual crew. When he saw Sophia, his face lit up with that practiced smile. "You came." He approached her with open arms, playing the perfect host. "Listen, I wanted to say, save it." Sophia cut him off. "Mason said you wanted to apologize. So apologize." Tyler's smile tightened. Around them, the party seemed to quiet, everyone sensing drama. "Right, of course." He cleared his throat. "I'm sorry things got out of hand. Sometimes I forget, not everyone understands our kind of humor. Your humor involves destroying my property and harassing my family. That wasn't—" He stopped, seemed to recalibrate. "You're right, it went too far. Let me make it up to you." He gestured to Derek, who appeared with a red Solo cup. "Peace offering." Sophia looked at the cup like it might bite her. "I don't drink. It's just punch. Scout's honor." Tyler held up 3 fingers in what was definitely not the Scout salute. The crowd was watching now, waiting. Sophia could feel the pressure of their eyes, their expectations. She thought of her mother's words, "Show them what a Martinez can do." She took the cup. "Actually," Tyler said, his smile shifting into something darker, "I want to show you something. Downstairs. A little Westbrook history. Call it an initiation." "I'll pass." "Come on," Derek chimed in, appearing at her shoulder. "Don't you want to know the school's real secrets?" More lacrosse players materialized around her. Not threatening, exactly, just present, blocking casual exit routes. Mason was nowhere to be seen. 5 minutes, Tyler promised. "Then you can go back to your perfect little scholarship life." Against every instinct screaming in her head, Sophia followed him, through the crowd, past a door marked "Storage," down a set of concrete steps she didn't even know existed. The music faded above them, replaced by the sound of their footsteps and her own accelerating heartbeat. The basement was bigger than she expected, finished, with carpet and fluorescent lights. Filing cabinets lined one wall. A desk sat in the corner with an old computer humming on top. "Weird place for a party," Sophia said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Oh, the party's upstairs," Tyler said. Behind her, she heard the other boys filing in, 5 of them total. "This is something else entirely." The door slammed shut. The electronic lock engaged with a definitive click. Tyler's mask finally slipped completely, revealing the predator underneath. "Here's the thing, Sophia. You don't belong at Westbrook. You never did. But you just wouldn't take the hint. So what? You're going to lock me in a basement. That's your master plan, just for tonight. Let you think about your choices. Maybe miss your big calculus test tomorrow. Maybe realize that fighting the natural order of things only leads to—" He gestured around the room. "Unfortunate situations." Sophia's mind raced. Cataloging exits none, weapons, nothing obvious, witnesses all hostile. She'd walked right into it. The scholarship kid thinking she was smarter than everyone else, too proud to see the trap. Mason was pretty convincing. Wasn't he? Derek laughed. Theater class really paid off. So Mason had been in on it. That stung more than she expected. Here's what's going to happen. Tyler continued, strutting around like he was giving a TED Talk. You're going to spend the night down here. Think about your life choices. Tomorrow, you're going to withdraw from the valedictorian race. You're going to stop making waves. And you're going to be grateful we didn't do worse. Or what? Tyler's eyes glittered dangerously. Or we release some interesting photos of your mom that Derek's particularly proud of. Amazing what you can do with AI these days. She'd probably lose her job. Shame, really. I hear Fairfield General just laid off a bunch of nurses. The rage that flooded through Sophia was ice-cold and laser-focused. They'd threatened her mother, the woman who'd sacrificed everything, who'd held their family together with bloody fingernails and pure will. You're making a mistake, she said quietly. Tyler laughed. No, scholarship girl. You made the mistake thinking you could swim with sharks. They filed out, still laughing, the lock engaging behind them with electronic finality. The sudden silence was deafening. Sophia stood in the middle of the room, alone, her father's jacket suddenly feeling very thin. That's when she noticed something odd about the filing cabinets. They were too new, too organized for a storage room. And that computer, why would a basement storage room need a computer that was clearly still in use? She tried the door first. Of course, the electronic lock was sophisticated, requiring a keycard. Her phone had no signal. The basement was a dead zone. Classic. But Sophia Martinez had been taking apart and rebuilding electronics since she was 8 years old. And electronic locks. Well, they were just another puzzle to solve. As she examined the lock mechanism, she couldn't help but notice the labels on those filing cabinets. Names, dates, and one word that kept repeating, leverage. Something told her Tyler Blackwood's family had much bigger secrets than anyone imagined, and she had all night to find out what they were. The basement door had been locked for exactly 7 minutes when Sophia made her first discovery. But that, friends, is where our story really begins. And trust me, what she found in those files would change everything, not just for her, not just for Tyler, but for the entire town of Fairfield. But that's a story for next time. The lock's mechanism was a Keyscan Kprox 2. Sophia recognized it from a security systems course she'd taken online. Funny thing about electronic locks, they're only as smart as the people who install them. And whoever installed this one had left the factory default administrator panel exposed. She pulled out her phone. No signal. But she didn't need one. She'd modified it months ago to include a basic RFID emulator, a little project born from boredom and curiosity. Her hands were steady as she held it near the lock's reader, cycling through common frequencies. Click. Nothing. She tried again, adjusting the frequency. That's when she heard footsteps above the party still raging, Tyler probably toasting his brilliant plan. The bass thumped through the ceiling like a mockery of her own heartbeat. Focus. Sophia, what would Dad say when one door closes? Mija, you build your own. The lock had a small LED indicator, currently red. She needed it green. But more interesting was the worn keypad beside it. Someone had been entering codes here regularly. The 2, 5, and 8 keys were practically polished from use. 2, 5, 8, May 28th, August 25th. Numb. Think like Tyler. Everything was about him, his family, their legacy. August 5th, 25, 8, 5, 2, 5. The date the Blackwood family founded this town. She punched it in. The LED blinked. Red. Come on. Think. Tyler's arrogance was his weakness. What mattered most to him, Yale. Everything was about getting into Yale. She tried the acceptance rate 064. Red, the founding year 1701. Red, then it hit her. Tyler's lacrosse number 25, his father's Yale graduation year 2005. She combined them 2505. Green, but Sophia didn't open the door. Not yet, because those filing cabinets were calling to her like sirens. Leverage, they'd said, and in her experience. When powerful people kept files labeled leverage, they were usually hiding something worth finding. The first cabinet was locked, but it was an old pin tumbler lock. Sophia used a paper clip from the desk and a tiny screwdriver from her robotics kit. She always carried it. A habit that now seemed prophetic. The lock popped in under 30 seconds. Inside were folders, dozens of them, each labeled with a name and a year. Jennifer Walsh, 2018, Brown. Marcus Thompson, 2019, Harvard. David Kim, 2020, Princeton. She pulled out the Walsh file. Inside were photos, compromising ones from what looked like a party. A young girl, clearly intoxicated, in various states that no one would want made public. Paper-clipped to the photos was a Yale acceptance letter and a receipt for $50,000 paid to Blackwood Educational Consulting. The pattern became clear as she rifled through more files. The Blackwoods weren't just rigging the system, they were industrializing it. Get dirt on wealthy families. Use it to force them to pay for fake achievements and test scores. Guarantee Ivy League admissions. Those who couldn't pay or refused to play faced destruction. The second cabinet contained the grade modifications, spreadsheets showing original SAT scores versus reported ones. Tyler's real scores would have barely gotten him into community college. But there was his official record, perfect 2400. Back when that was the max score. Her hands shook as she photographed everything with her phone. Page after page of evidence spanning 20 years. Daniel Blackwood hadn't just corrupted the school, he'd built an empire on the destroyed dreams of students who'd earned their spots legitimately. The third cabinet made her blood run cold. Active leverage files. She found her own name on a fresh folder. Inside were the photos Derek had mentioned, deep fakes of her mother in compromising situations. So well made they'd fool anyone who didn't look too closely. But there was more. Forged immigration documents suggesting her mother was undocumented. Fake psychiatric evaluations claiming Sophia had violent tendencies. A whole manufactured history ready to destroy their lives. Behind her folder was another marked Ashley Williams. Sophia knew Ashley only by reputation, student council president, headed to Columbia, seemed to have it all together. But this file. The video was on an old USB drive taped inside the folder. Sophia plugged it into the ancient desktop computer, which wheezed to life. What she saw made her stomach turn. Tyler at a party 2 years ago. Ashley's younger sister, Emma, clearly drugged, barely conscious, and Tyler doing things that would land him in prison. The timestamp showed 3 a.m. The location metadata confirmed it was the Blackwood pool house. So that's why Ashley never challenged Tyler despite being student council president. They had her sister on video, and she'd been protecting Emma ever since. Sophia copied everything onto her phone's memory card. Then she found the building's blueprints in the bottom drawer because, of course, these meticulous criminals kept those too. There was a ventilation shaft that led to the old heating system. From there, a maintenance tunnel to the main building. It would be tight, but she was small, as she unscrewed the ventilation grate with her pocket screwdriver. She couldn't help but think about all the students over the years who'd had their futures stolen, all the parents who'd been blackmailed, All the dreams deferred so mediocre rich boys could coast through life. The Black Woods had built their kingdom on the backs of the broken. Well, kingdoms fall. And sometimes all it takes is one girl with a screwdriver and a sense of justice. The ventilation shaft was dusty and cramped. Sophia Army crawled through decades of dust and probably asbestos. Her father's jacket protecting her arms from the sharp edges. Every sound echoed metallically her breathing, her heartbeat, the distant thump of the party. 15 minutes of crawling brought her to the heating room. She dropped down, landing hard on concrete. Her ankle twinged, not broken, but she'd be limping. Good thing she didn't need to run. She needed to think. It was 1:30 a.m. The party would rage until at least 3. She had time, but not much. She needed allies, and she knew exactly where to find them. Ashley Williams lived in a colonial-style house 10 minutes from school. Sophia had never been there. But everyone knew the Williams house. It was where student council meetings happened when they needed to plan important events. She walked through the empty streets, keeping to shadows. Her ankle throbbed with each step. The October air bit through her dusty jacket. But her mind was laser-focused on what came next. Ashley answered the door on the 5th knock, wearing pajamas covered in tiny Columbia's logos. Her face went from annoyed to shocked to terrified in 3 seconds flat. "Sophia, what are you? How did you? We need to talk about your sister." Ashley's face crumbled. "I don't know what you mean." "I have the video, Ashley, the real one, from Tyler's file." The door opened wider. "Get in, quick." Ashley's room was exactly what you'd expect from a future Ivy Leaguer color-coded binders. Motivational quotes in frames. A vision board with Columbia 2026 in the center. But Sophia noticed the bottles of anxiety medication on the nightstand, the bitten-down nails. The dark circles makeup couldn't quite hide. Ashley whispered after Sophia showed her the evidence on her phone. "They locked me in their filing room. Big mistake." Ashley laughed bitterly. "I've been trying to get into that basement for 2 years. Ever since—" She couldn't finish. "Emma doesn't know. Does she?" "God, no. She thinks she just drank too much at that party. I've been protecting her, paying Tyler off with student council funds, doing whatever he wanted just to keep that video buried. Well, it's not buried anymore, and neither are the rest of their crimes." Sophia showed her everything. The admissions fraud, the grade tampering, the decades of blackmail. Ashley's hands shook as she scrolled through the evidence. "My God, this is everyone. Judge Patterson, Dr. Kim, half the school board. They're all being blackmailed or they're in on it. So we take it wider. FBI, media, make it too big to bury." Ashley looked at her with something like awe. "You're really not afraid of them." "I'm terrified," Sophia admitted. "But I'm more angry than scared. They threatened my mom, Ashley, the one person who's given everything for me, so no, I won't back down." "What do you need?" "Access to the school's AV system for tomorrow's assembly, and someone who can get Mason Chen to grow a conscience." Ashley's smile was sharp as glass. "Leave Mason to me. I know exactly what buttons to push." They worked through the night. Ashley used her student council privileges to access the school's systems, programming a presentation override for the valedictorian announcement assembly. Sophia organized the evidence into a devastating 10-minute reveal, complete with documents, photos, and that damning video edited to protect Emma's identity, but clear enough to bury Tyler. At 5 a.m., Mason Chen showed up at Ashley's door, looking like he'd been dragged through hell. "I didn't know," were his first words. "About the basement. Yeah, but not all of it. Not Emma, not the grades, I thought it was just hazing." Sophia wanted to rage at him, but she recognized the look in his eyes. Self-loathing mixed with genuine horror. He was 18 and drowning in a toxic friendship he didn't know how to escape. "I have all the passwords," he said quietly. "Tyler trusts me with everything, including his cloud storage where he keeps backup copies. I can get you admin access." "Why help us now?" Ashley demanded. Mason met Sophia's eyes. "Because when I saw you walk into that party tonight, trusting me, I realized I'd become someone my mom would be ashamed of. And because—" he swallowed hard. "Because I've watched Tyler destroy people for 4 years and told myself it wasn't my problem. Emma was my friend in middle school, before Tyler decided she was just another target." By 7 a.m., they had everything. Sophia had even contacted a friend from robotics camp who had connections at the Connecticut FBI field office. Turns out, they'd been building a case against corruption in Fairfield County for years. This evidence was the smoking gun they needed. "Don't go to school," the FBI agent told her. "We'll handle it from here." But Sophia Martinez hadn't crawled through ventilation shafts and stayed up all night to miss the show. 9 a.m., Westbrook Preparatory's auditorium was packed. Parents in the front rows, students filling every seat. Faculty lined up on stage. The valedictorian announcement was a big deal. It basically determined who was getting into Yale. Tyler sat in the front row. Lacrosse jacket crisp, hair perfectly styled. He looked refreshed, confident. Why wouldn't he be? His competition was locked in a basement. Except she wasn't. Sophia walked in just as Principal Morrison took the podium. She was still wearing her dusty jacket. Her jeans torn from the vents, her hair a mess. She looked like exactly what she was, a girl who'd fought through hell and come out the other side. Tyler's face went white. His head swiveled, searching for his crew. Derek was there, confused. The others, too. But Mason was sitting with Ashley, and that clearly didn't compute in Tyler's world. "Ladies and gentlemen," Principal Morrison began, "before we announce this year's valedictorian, we have a special presentation from our Student Council President, Ashley Williams." Ashley took the stage with the remote control in her hand. "Thank you, Principal Morrison. I wanted to share something about the true spirit of Westbrook Preparatory." The first slide appeared, a photo of the basement filing room. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "Last night," Ashley said, her voice clear and strong, "we discovered something horrible. A 20-year conspiracy that has stolen opportunities from deserving students and destroyed families who wouldn't play along." The evidence unfolded like a symphony of destruction. Grade sheets showing the alterations, bank records of bribes, the photos used for blackmail carefully edited to protect victims. And then, the video of Tyler, just enough to show his face, his voice, the crime being committed. The auditorium exploded, parents jumping to their feet, some trying to leave, others screaming about lawsuits. Principal Morrison looked like he might faint, but Ashley wasn't done. Every family that was blackmailed, every student whose spot was stolen, every dream deferred so the Blackwood family could build their empire, this is for you. That's when the FBI agents entered, 20 of them, some in tactical gear. They moved efficiently through the crowd. Daniel Blackwood was in the third row. He tried to run, but didn't make it 3 feet. "Daniel Blackwood, you're under arrest for racketeering, conspiracy to commit fraud, blackmail." The list went on. They arrested 6 more parents, 3 teachers, 2 school board members. Coach Rodriguez, tried to slip out the back but was caught in the parking lot. Tyler remained frozen in his seat, watching his father being handcuffed, watching his world collapse in real time. When the agents approached him, he looked almost relieved. But before they could reach him, he stood up and turned to face Sophia. "You destroyed everything," he said, his voice breaking. "My whole life. Gone. For what? Because I was mean to you." Sophia stood up too, meeting his gaze steadily. "No, Tyler, because you thought being born on third base meant you'd hit a triple, because you believed hurting others was your birthright, because you threatened my mother." She stepped closer, and for the first time, Tyler stepped back. "Your life isn't destroyed," she continued. "It's just real now. You'll face consequences. Maybe for the first time ever. And maybe, if you're very lucky, you'll learn to be the person you always pretended to be." The agents led him away. As they passed, Mason called out, "Tyler!" Tyler looked at his former best friend with pure hatred. "I'm sorry," Mason said, "for all of it, but mostly for not stopping you sooner." Tyler spit at his feet. Then he was gone. The assembly dissolved into chaos. Parents demanding answers, students crying or cheering or standing in shocked silence. In the middle of it all, Principal Morrison remembered why they were there. "The valedictorian," he said weakly into the microphone. "Based on authentic academic records, this year's valedictorian is Sophia Martinez." The applause started slowly, then built to thunder. Students who'd never spoken to her were on their feet. Even some parents, the ones who'd played by the rules and watched their children lose to cheaters, were clapping. But Sophia wasn't looking at them. She was looking at the door where her mother had just appeared, still in her nurse's scrubs, having rushed from the hospital after getting Sophia's text. Rosa Martinez took in the chaos. The FBI agents, her daughter standing tall in her father's dusty jacket. Their eyes met across the auditorium. "Mija," her mother mouthed. Sophia finally let the tears fall. Later that day, after the FBI interviews and the media storm and the endless questions, Sophia and her mother sat in their small kitchen. The acceptance letter from MIT had arrived that morning, full scholarship. Early admission. It felt like a lifetime ago. "Your father would be so proud," Rosa said, holding her daughter's hand. "He always said to build my own door. See, but I don't think he imagined you'd tear down the whole house." They laughed, exhausted and exhilarated. Sophia's phone buzzed. Messages were pouring in from students across the country. Take down. The court was trending. Apparently, Westbrook wasn't the only prep school with a corruption problem. Her story had lit a fuse. "What happens now?" her mother asked. Sophia thought about Tyler, probably in a federal holding cell, about Ashley, finally free from her secret, about Mason, who'd have to live with his choices but at least had the chance to make better ones, about all the students who'd have their rightful futures restored. "Now," Sophia smiled, her father's smile, "now we build something better." The next week, Westbrook Preparatory announced a complete restructuring. The old board was dissolved, new policies implemented, scholarship programs expanded, and carved into the new Student Honor Code. Suggested by the senior class, true achievement cannot be bought, only earned. Tyler Blackwood was sentenced to 3 years in juvenile detention, eligible for early release with good behavior. His father got 25 years federal time. The other conspirators fell like dominoes. some testifying against others for reduced sentences. Coach Rodriguez, the one everyone thought was just another victim, turned out he was the mastermind's right hand, keeping the most damaging files in his home safe. He got 30 years. As for Sofia Martinez, she gave her valedictorian speech in June to a standing ovation. She talked about integrity, about the courage to stand alone, about building doors when others try to lock you in basements. She started MIT that fall, where she developed an app to help students report academic fraud anonymously. It's been downloaded 2 million times, but she still keeps her father's jacket, still wears it on cold October nights. A reminder that sometimes the best armor isn't what protects you from the world, it's what reminds you who you're fighting for. Tyler wrote her a letter once, from detention. 2 words, "I'm sorry." She never replied. Some doors, once opened, are better left that way. And somewhere in Connecticut, in a basement that's now sealed with concrete, the empty filing cabinets gather dust, a monument to the simple truth that secrets, no matter how deep you bury them, always find their way to the light, especially when someone like Sofia Martinez brings the flashlight. The end. But the story doesn't end there. Not really. Because avalanches, once started, have a way of reshaping entire landscapes. 6 months later, I ran into Mason Chen at a coffee shop in Hartford. He was working behind the counter, foam art and all. Gone was the lacrosse jacket, the swagger, the carefully styled hair. He looked lighter somehow. "Sophia," he said, genuinely surprised. "What are you doing here?" "Visiting my mom. She got promoted to head nurse." I couldn't help the pride in my voice. "What about you?" He gestured at his apron with a self-deprecating smile. "Gap year. My parents cut me off after everything went down. Said I needed to learn what real work meant. And best thing that ever happened to me." He started making my latte without asking what I wanted, he remembered. "I'm applying to community college for EMT training. Figured I should try helping people for a change." We talked for 20 minutes. About redemption, about choices, about how sometimes falling from grace is the only way to find out who you really are. When I left, he called after me. "Sophia." That night in the basement, I've wanted to say this. I knew it was wrong, but I was so deep in Tyler's world, I couldn't see another way out. You showed me there's always another door, even when someone tries to lock you in. I nodded. We both knew some betrayals can't be fully forgiven. But growth deserves acknowledgement. Ashley Williams and I became unlikely friends. She started a nonprofit called Break the Silence that helps students document and report academic fraud. Last I heard, they'd exposed corruption in 17 prep schools across New England. Emma never did find out about the video. Ashley made sure it was destroyed in the FBI evidence purge. Some secrets, the kind that protect victims,